Hello and welcome back once again to Belmont Bunch. Today, not talking about the New York Jets, and it feels fantastic. Let's talk about some off-season. Let's call this the overview, because we are going to have to do stuff more in depth after the draft. Although we can talk a little bit about the draft today, even though we're not going to be involved in it until like the fourth round. But let's talk about...
Make up your mind, you hack.
Let's do the general overview of what this offseason could look like for the New York Islanders. So, I have color-coded this, red for UFAs or RFAs, and I'll differentiate as I go through. Let's go through the current roster, and then I'll talk about how we want to improve it. So, in the playoffs, our forward group actually performed pretty well, but we're still looking for that consistency in an 82-game sample size in the regular season, and it did, once again, feel like at points we were pulling teeth trying to score in this regular season. In the playoffs, not really. It was really nice in the playoffs. So, a full season of Pajot could have this offense, operating at a high level. We'll see. Lou has talked about the possibility of being involved in some trades. People have thrown out the names Parise and Palmieri, and those are good players, but it doesn't really fit what Islanders fans are looking for, which is pure goal scorer. On the first line, obviously we need to re-sign Barzal. We have, as you see there, around $9 million to work with, and 3 very big RFAs. Two really big, and we'll talk about the other one. But Barzal, I'm actually kind of thinking of that Patrick Laine bridge deal at the moment, because I don't think with the cap space we have, unless we're able to move Boychuk and his $6 million, which will be tough, I think Barzy gets the Patrick Laine deal. 2 years, 6.5, 6.75, a bridge deal to give the Islanders time to offload some money. I would anticipate Barzal to be the front and center of Lou's attention until he is signed. Let's assume he got that 2-year 6.75 about. We've got Lee still signed. We've got Eberle still signed. Lee, in the postseason, had a very solid postseason showing and was doing his job very well, which is, as we've talked about, get in front of the net, create havoc in front, make it the goalie's job a nightmare. Eberle needs to get going. He is still signed for a few more years. We just signed him last year, and I think we're a little bit regretting it. The tough thing is his chemistry with Barzy and Bo and these guys is really, really high. They love him. Gary, they call him. They call him Gary.
Why?
Don't know. Nobody knows. But Eberle is going to have to revert back to his goal-scoring form, or else he could be involved in a bigger trade, possibly. Second line, Bo, Nelson, Bailey. Fantastic work in the playoffs. If Bo can be that... Nelson's kind of the sniper of this line anyway. He led the team in goals. These guys were all signed, although Bo is 1 year away from getting his big boy contract, and I'm a little bit worried about that. That is why, on this third line, you see Brassard in red. It's tough because Brassard's another guy that seemed to mesh really well, chemistry-wise, and, he was hot and he was cold, but from a third liner, that's what you're going to get. You're not going to get a third liner scoring like 70 points, But because the money's going to be really tight, I think we're going to have to promote one of Bellows or Wahlstrom full-time to save money there. And that it's kind of good because it forces the Islanders to, attempt to get one of their rookies going. And that is something that in the past we haven't been very good at. Case in point, Josh Hosang. Anyway, fourth line, I think it'll be interesting. Martin's going to have to take a very, very team-friendly contract if he wants to be back, because Johnston, I think, could fit that role. Although Martin made a big playoff splash and kept himself very much in the hunt for a contract here. And unfortunately, he's like 5th on the priority list, or 5th or 6th. But it'll be interesting. It's all on Martin if he wants to come back for very cheap. Komarov, also on the fourth, on the third, could drop to the 4th if Cizikas' eye surgery is a problem. But I would like to move the Komarov contract if we can. Maybe not impossible still. We'll see. I think we're getting closer to not movable. But Clutterbuck played well in the playoffs. He's making a lot. Cizikas making a lot. The extras, Dal Cole is signed. Johnston's signed at $1 million. Dal Cole at like $700K. Ladd, we know he's probably going to play in the minors. I kind of want Dal Cole down in the minors as well, so that we can have two of these three, Wahlstrom, Bellows, or Ho-Sang, at least traveling with the team and practicing with the team. One of them would probably be in the lineup if Broussard is gone. And in the minors, Bardreau is available as an extra center, and he showed pretty decently last year. Ho-Sang, I'm still holding out hope that he could be part of that third line, but we'll see. Goaltending, this is nice and easy. Greiss is going to go. Greiss has had a great few years with the Islanders, and very, very happy for him, because I think he's going to get a nice last send-off paycheck for the 34-year-old. Varley will be the 1A. Sorokin will probably be the 1B. Sorokin has the ability to steal the job, but it's going to start out as Varley's job, I believe. In the system, we have 3 guys to re-sign. 2 of them are more depth goalies in Carreau and Gibson. The Bridgeport team did not do that great this year. Might be time to move on from Brent Thompson down there. Linus Soderstrom and Jacob Skarek. We took them in the draft in 2 separate drafts. Not that high, but both were considered decent prospects, but that Bridgeport the Bridgeport team is killing guys. I need the Islanders to pull them up so that Barry can get his hands on them and not Brent Thompson. Defense. This is a bigger conversation. Leddy and Boychuk. Both of these guys I would like to move. I'd like to move one of them. Leddy is probably the more movable contract. He's younger and $5.5 million. Pellich and Mayfield are both still on very, very nice contracts for us. Pellich we're going to have to pay soon, and that could be a nice payday. So that bottom pair, even though it's not the bottom pair, that was more just putting the players up. Taves, I think, needs a prove-it deal, because he regressed this year to where he was 2 years ago, or the previous season. Pulock needs to get his money, and hopefully moving money out, signing Barzal to the Bridge, signing Pulock to a Jonas Brodin-style deal of like $5 to $6 million would be fantastic for the 25-year-old, I believe. Extras. Dobson probably gets a full job next year in the lineup. Boychuk didn't play that much in the playoffs. Could see Dobson taking his role full-time. Hickey, we're going to try to move. He's worth $2.5 million. It's not a terrible contract. And I still think he has NHL minutes in him. So we'll see. Somebody might be able to take that. I do think that's a movable contract. Andy Green, it's a very similar to Matt Martin's situation, where it's like we have a lot of defensive depth, so we got to wait and see what happens with the other guys. And in the system, Wild and Bolduc, taken in the last couple of years of the draft, are not ready for the NHL yet. I wouldn't suspect. Aho has been toiling away in the minors, and I really hope he gets maybe the 7th defenseman role, because he's been good in the minors. Hutton, I've heard good stuff from on the right side, and Schmaltz, but I'm not sure we're going to bring Schmaltz back. So, not a lot of money. I mean, like, it's a deceptive amount of money for the amount of guys that we have to sign, but obviously, priority-wise, Barzal, Pulock, and then Taves and Broussard are in a similar area. We're set in goal, so that's nice. And, we'll keep an eye out. I think Komarov, Hickey, Leddy, Boychuk are all the people that we want to move. We'll see if they're movable. But that's it. That's our little overview. And we're going to be back with updates as applicable. And post-draft, we'll probably do another one of these. And because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of trades at the draft. So we'll see what happens there and who's left on this board still. And how we're going to navigate that. Like and subscribe below. We'll see you next time on Belmont Bunch. Keep it tuned and keep an eye on those sad Jet recaps. See ya. But Pellich, we're going to have to pay soon. Just hiccuped.